For this last video, I'm going to talk a little bit about rigid verbal rules. You can think of everything that we do in ACT and with the matrix and the 6 steps as a way to help people free themselves from those rigid verbal rules that can keep them stuck and give them the experience that they don't have a choice other than to do what clearly isn't working. So we are going to pay particular attention to these rigid rules as they show up and be very careful to not throw new rigid rules into the mix. And that's so easy to do. You know, you could tell people, well, you should be more compassionate, or even if you don't say it in such an obvious way, you know, our clients' minds and our own minds are going to try and turn everything into a rigid verbal rule. So what we do a lot of is, rather than get into that space, we invite clients to notice, because noticing is a flexible rule. It's very hard to be rigid about noticing because it's just something you do, but it doesn't prescribe anything about how you do it or the content of your noticing. So we are going to multiply the occasions, the opportunities for people to notice. And when we give exercises, we don't tell people do this, we tell people notice what happens when you do that, or notice if you notice. So this is the reason why we do this, because we want to really use ACT and the matrix as a way to make those rigid verbal rules appear and to help clients notice in a much broader way than they do. Because when you're just noticing the rigid verbal rules, then only one behavior becomes possible, and if the rule is rigid, then you don't have a choice than to follow it. But once you notice that whatever shows up, including those rigid verbal rules, you have the opportunity to notice broadly, notice when what is important, notice what shows up and gets in the way, notice what you can notice with your 5 senses experience, and notice what you could do as a move away and what you could do as a move toward. When you notice the whole of your matrix, in other words, then you suddenly notice, then regardless of what rules will show up and your mind will produce them, you have a choice. And this is what psychological flexibility is all about. So have fun with the 6 steps of the matrix, and hopefully see you soon.